this is Moshe Zusman for Shutter Magazine, and today I'm going to talk to you about my transition from wedding photography primarily into doing a lot of other things, primarily headshots, portraits, and fashion. I've been a photographer for 14 years, and 12 of those were primarily wedding photographer. That's what everybody knew me for, but I decided to phase it out. My family grows. I want to spend more time with my kids and different interests. I feel like I've become a little too old for this, maybe. Some might disagree. But now my focus is portraiture. So we're going to talk a little bit about that transition. That's why I did it. How I did it, I built a business. I started building a headshot business about 2.5 years ago, and it very quickly took off. I used my platform of clients from the past to market this new business of mine. We're in my studio. I want to talk to you a little bit about the different clientele that wedding photography is versus the new clients that I have, the headshots and the portraits. One of the biggest differences is that in the mindset of a wedding photographer, your relationship with your couples is a year-long relationship. And it doesn't matter even if you make $10,000, $15,000 for that wedding in one day, it's not really that. It's about 30 to 50 hours of work, and it's a year relationship at least, from the moment they checked in with you until they checked out. Where when I do headshots, people book me a few days ago, I shoot them today, they're spending 20 to 30 minutes here in the studio, and the next time I see them will be a few years from now when they're going to need other services from me or a new headshot. I deliver those files 3 days from now. So it's a very different mindset, and a lot of times I talk to photographers and they feel like my clients will be really upset because I didn't do X, Y, Z. It doesn't work like that with portraits and headshots because that relationship is a lot less emotional than with a bride and a groom. If you are shooting a wedding, and I'm glad to say that it never happened to me, but I was close to it, and I know a lot of people that it did happen to them, is they'll shoot a wedding from A to Z. Everything is going to look amazing. But they forgot to photograph the little flower girl's boutonniere or bow. And there's going to be a lot of crying, a lot of emotions, maybe bad reviews. Somebody's going to get upset and cry. Where if you photograph headshots and you forgot something, you even did a crappy job, they don't like it. What's the worst could happen? You do it again the next day. You invite the client again and do it on the house. You're not losing a lot of time. You're definitely not losing a lot of money. And it's easy to fix the situation. That is one of the biggest differences that I like about doing headshots. I don't have to get emotionally involved with every client and hold their hands along the way. I used to do it and I enjoyed doing it, but now I have other interests. Next thing I want to talk to you guys about is the gear, the difference in gear between being a wedding photographer and being any kind of other photographer, really. Maybe sports does not include that. Main thing is your camera. When I was shooting weddings, I used to use the Canon 1DX, the fastest camera in the world. 12, 14 frames per second, because God forbid we should miss a frame at a wedding. But now when I work in the studio, I use a camera that shoots maybe 3 or 4 frames per second. It's the 5DS. It's got a lot more megapixels because I like canvases that are large. My retouchers like to love working with those big canvases, and I don't need the speed. The quality is amazing, and that's just enough. As a wedding photographer, you're probably going to take with you a bunch of speed lights, maybe 1 or 2 ProPhoto B1s or B2s, battery powered, where in the studio I use the D2s. They're powered, electrical power obviously, and a lot more of those. I don't have to carry my gear to places. It's all here, it's very steady. I use wheeled light stands. Everything is bigger and much more comfortable, including also the light shapers. On weddings, I will try to take umbrellas with me and maybe a collapsible softbox, nothing bigger than a 2x3. In the studio, I don't know if you can see around you, but we have 5 feet octoboxes and 3x4 softboxes and a 4x6 softbox and beauty dish, stuff that I not necessarily will take with me to a wedding. That's one of the main differences. I love working with a tripod, something that, again, as a wedding photographer, I have never carried a tripod with me. And those are really the biggest differences in gear. I hope you enjoy this, and don't forget to catch up the article at Shutter Magazine. Thanks.